What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're once again here to talk about WWE. We're here to talk about SummerSlam specifically because I believe SummerSlam's this weekend, which is a crazy thing to say if it is, because that means I don't care about SummerSlam. So yeah, as it stands, I record this video on Wednesday. SummerSlam is 3 nights away, a 2-evening spectacle at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, New York. Big ol' SummerSlam event. 2 nights, making a big deal of it, but I really don't care. I genuinely couldn't care less, and I think the larger thing at play here is the Netflix era has so far proven to be a massive failure in terms of quality of content. In terms of actual interesting professional wrestling being presented to us, the Netflix era has been a huge swing and a miss, like an all-time stinker of a period of the company we are currently in. That's where we're at right now, and I'm not trying to say we're worse than 2019. I'm not trying to say we're worse than kind of other periods throughout, but the fact of the matter is right now WWE is in the fucking bin, and I don't care if you're the world's strongest fed soldier, you have to see that where the company is at right now is not good. But what gives me this opinion? What are the things that are leading me down this path? What are the things that are, continuously on a week-to-week basis having me, I guess, lose faith in WWE's ability to provide me with something interesting and entertaining? Well, there's many things at play here. I think, first of all, the fact that we have Drew McIntyre, a man who last year was involved in the hottest feud of the summer, the hottest feud of the year, the biggest feud of the year, throughout the year in his battles with CM Punk, was going in to that special guest ref match at SummerSlam, in the Punk and Rollins kind of storyline last summer. We go a year on and Drew is in a match involving Jelly Roll. Now, I'm not entirely opposed to Drew being in there and mixing it up with Logan Paul or mixing it up with Randy Orton, obviously. Those are people who are on the roster. I know Logan Paul is a figure of much debate and derision and discussion, and that's completely fair. I think it's very clear to me that he's an incredibly talented wrestler in terms of being a moves guy. He can do the moves, but I don't think he does the little things well. I don't think he does what's in between the moves well at all. I don't think he's ever improved at that. And the longer he's there, and the longer he goes without any real improvement in these things, the more I lose interest. But regardless, he can still go in there and at least put together and do cool moves, and is competent in the ring on a moves basis. The other part of this match is Randy Orton, one of the greatest of all time. The other part of this match is Jelly Roll, who makes bad music for people who don't really exist. And I understand celebrity involvement in professional wrestling is nothing new, especially not within WWE. In general, celebrity involvement in pro wrestling, especially for big shows like a SummerSlam, things like that, that is more than kind of the thing at this point. This has been done before. Stephen Amell, Bad Bunny, Mr. T, Lawrence Taylor. A lot of these athletes and celebrities, not necessarily athletes, but a lot of these celebrities from other walks of life have come into WWE, and they typically do it at a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, and that's fair enough. But my issue with it isn't necessarily the involvement of Jelly Roll here. I wouldn't be happy if this was any celebrity, really. I guess with the exception of Bad Bunny, who I think's a fun pro wrestler. But in general, I think this sort of really exemplifies the biggest issue with the Netflix era of WWE, and that is that it's no longer a product for professional wrestling fans. And I understand that WWE has essentially never tried to be a product for professional wrestling fans first. They want to cast this wide net, they want to do things that get more people in and interested in watching, and being on Netflix, being in front of the most amount of people they could ever be in front of, like an insane amount of people, is fair enough. And then you get in Jelly Roll, who by some wish to a genie is a really popular musician that people somehow listen to, even though his music's bad. Apart from that, it's more the fact that Netflix seem to be pushing this on WWE, that we want celebrity involvement, we want people here, we want you to show the world that WWE is cool with these chart-topping musicians and people like that involved in the product, so people will watch. And realistically, we're just running I guess the modern equivalent of the Raw guest general manager. who's popular, who has something to promote, who has a Netflix show they're in, who's got a Netflix movie that's about to come out. Let's get Tom Segura on here, even though he called wrestling fans the R word like a year ago, and talked so much shit about wrestling because his buddy Bert Kreischer, who he's on that podcast with, is going to be at Raw because he's got a Netflix thing coming up. And if we can get them to go on the podcast and say we were on Monday Night Raw, people are going to go, Tom Segura was on Raw, I'll watch Raw. And you look at Worlds Collide in the sort of NXT versus AAA feud. You've got Latin lovers sat next to Negro Casas, and it just completely skips over a legend of Lucha Libre to get the camera on that Mexican OT, because they're like, he's a musician, he's a celebrity, people listen to his music, he was on a song with Denzel Curry, but he's Mexican and AAA, whoa! It's so catered towards people who do not give a fuck about wrestling, to the point that the in-ring product does not matter. And the fact that I would be saying this if it was Jelly Roll. Like I say, I'd be saying this about almost anyone, but right now, WWE's entire product is catered towards getting people in, and to the point that the wrestling doesn't matter anymore. Anytime I tune in to watch a WWE show, the wrestling doesn't matter, I never feel like any of what's going on in the ring matters. And then when we look at the in-ring feuds, to me, 90% of them are dog shit. I think this is also summed up in the fact that we have this Karrion Kross versus Sami match, where the condition is what they are wrestling for, what they are fighting for. Is it a championship? Is it a loser leaves town? Is it, what are they all fighting for? Whoever wins, the other one has to say sorry and say, you were right, actually. You were correct in what you were saying. A Karrion Kross has managed to just coast off of one aura moment, and Twitter fans seem to think he is the second coming of Christ, and I understand he's not the greatest professional wrestler in the world, but I like him. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Killer Kross, and now Karrion Kross. However, this is such a fucking waste of Sami Zayn's time. This is such a waste of Sami Zayn's time. Kross fans got to a point where they were making compilations of back bumps just to protect their guy who realistically has had 10-ish good matches in his career. He was in his mid-30s and getting called a young boy and bitched out by a man in his mid-50s in Suzuki because he couldn't hang. I like Kross, but there are limitations there. I like Kross's mind for professional wrestling, but he is nowhere near as good as everyone seems to think he is. And the fact that people are chanting for him because of one thing, when he said fuck on a Sam Roberts thing or whatever it was, they've now just derailed the momentum of Sami Zayn for this feud that's not been good. And again, to the point where WWE fans just simply don't care about the wrestling. I'm seeing people turning on Valkyrie. I'm seeing people turning on Lyra Valkyria because she is having good matches. Can we just, let's break that down. Let's actually, I feel like I went over that a little bit too quickly. So I'll run that by you one more time. The fans of the professional wrestling company are upset that a professional wrestler is having lots of good professional wrestling matches. Let's run that back one more time. The fans of the wrestling company, they're upset that the wrestler is wrestling good matches. Play that back in your head and try and make sense of that. A contention of the fan, an ever growing contention of the fan base, from what I can tell, are turning on Valkyrie because she is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. Because they trust her to go out and have 20-minute bangers, when realistically, in the words of Zack Sabre, you're putting on a fucking good technical professional wrestling match for an American crowd is like reading Shakespeare to a dog. And in general, let's just take technical out of that and replace American with WWE crowd. Putting on a good professional wrestling match for a WWE crowd in this day and age really doesn't fucking matter. Because no one cares. Because WWE have somehow managed to cultivate this thing where what happens in the ring doesn't actually matter. And now with the obvious influence of Netflix wanting them to go celebrity, it's now just a big fucking circus. I absolutely hate it. The Netflix era has been nothing but a failure from the minute Dwayne showed up with his big fragile ego in the middle of the ring all the way to now. It has been nothing but miss after miss after miss, with a few high spots thrown in there. The Mania triple threats were good. The Cena heel turn was good, but we're here now because they had no plan for this. They had no contingency plan for this. They just did it because Dwayne's fragile ego said, someone's turning heel because I've decided it. And we're now at this stage where Cena's not had a good match in his retirement run, and we've got less than 20 shows left. We are about to enter August, which would mean 4 months left of this, and he's on by far the worst run of his career, at least throughout my fandom of professional wrestling, because they're not allowing him to do anything interesting, and it's been bad. And I really do think we will look back at 2025 WWE as such a low point for the company. I think in the same way, you know, people look at like, I guess 2022, 23, those like dark moments in AEW, or the way that people look at 2019 WWE, or the way people look at like COVID New Japan, or maybe not 2001 WCW, right enough, but it's going to be seen as such a low point. And the fact that WWE have for years told us that the wrestling doesn't matter, and the fact that Netflix seemingly want to back that opinion up and validate that stance is only going to hurt the quality of the wrestling. Because it's not going to hurt WWE's bottom line at the end of the day. They signed this mega money deal with Netflix, and the fact it's on Netflix has put WWE in front of the most amount of eyes, and realistically it's probably ever been in front of. Now, that's not equating to the viewing figures, I don't think as many people are watching, but the amount of people who can feasibly watch WWE on a week-to-week basis is, without a doubt, right now the highest it's ever been. It's the easiest it's ever been to get professional wrestling in my lifetime, for WWE at least, and I can't bring myself to watch it on a week-to-week basis because it's bad. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some definite bright spots in there. I think the SmackDown Tag Division, especially with all those teams, you've got, you know, you've got the Motor City Machine Guns, you've got the Street Profits, you've got Fraxium, you've got like Pretty Deadly, you've got DIY in there, you've got Andrade and Fenix have started teaming, which it's cruel that we're doing this in a world with no Dusty Classic, but you know, we move. Solo Sikoa has really come into his own this year. He's a lot of fun. Dominic Mysterio, whenever they allow him to be Dominic Mysterio, is a lot of fun. There's a lot of people doing a lot of interesting things, but and Valkyrie as well, she's up there for my Wrestler of the Year so far this year. She's been phenomenal. But when we look at the general interest that people have in WWE, out with Twitter, let's take like Twitter and let's take the internet out of it, because there will always be that contingent of fan. There will always be those people that's like, I will fucking bleed and die for the World Wrestling Federation. I don't care if you give us a 3-hour episode of Raw with no matches. If it's all promos, I will be there, stand up for WWE. But to me, in my normal life, with my friends who don't watch wrestling, or my lapsed wrestling fan friends, a lot of people in January, when it came to Netflix, were talking to me about, oh, hey, I've been watching WWE, it's on Netflix, it's easy to get to, it's easy to access, you know, who's this, oh, I might start watching some other wrestling here and there. I had a couple of friends who, like, it re-sparked their interest in wrestling, which they hadn't had since they were like probably 10, 11, 12. I had some friends of mine who'd never watched pro wrestling, who were starting to keep up with it, things like that. But now we're here, nearly 8 months into the year, and everyone who had this interest at the start of the year has been driven away because it's bad. And again, nothing here is appealing to me whatsoever. And just another thing to add here, last night we had a 2009 Lay Cool body shaming segment on NXT, essentially, with Blake Monroe, pulling up old photos of Jordynne Grace when she was a power lifter and not a bodybuilder, and was like, that's not someone who goes to the gym, that's not a champion, or whatever. Yeah, I don't care about WWE. And the thing that's frustrating is, because that's the most easily accessible pro wrestling, and because I'm so disillusioned with that, I've kind of just lost my willingness to watch pro wrestling a lot of the time now. And I am still trying my best, but even when I hear, oh, you gotta watch this, you gotta catch up on this, you gotta do this, you gotta watch this, I've not even watched all of All In. Now, I watched the main event, watched the tag match, watched Tony and Mercedes, watched the Big Boom AJ match, obviously, but I didn't finish that full card. I never got around to watching that full card because I just don't care about wrestling right now. And I said it in my last video, but I really want to talk about the specific issues that I have seen with WWE since the Netflix merger. And, you know, there's things like the Rollins injury that can't be helped, that can't be predicted for, that can't be accounted for, really, when you take into the grand scheme of things, but I don't care. Like, all of the bright spots, Valkyrie, Naomi, Dominic Mysterio, the tag division on SmackDown, it's all buried under the bullshit of the Cena heel turn and the fucking cross and the shite in NXT and how NXT and TNA are just becoming watered down and polluted versions of each other. None of this feels essential, and I think that's the issue. No part of WWE programming or WWE adjacent programming, this includes TNA because they've been, you know, dragged down with the ship, none of it feels essential to me. It doesn't feel like, even SummerSlam doesn't feel essential. CM Punk is wrestling fucking Volter, and I'm like, that'll be good, I'll catch it whenever. Like, whenever. And that's the thing that's really pissing me off here, but I don't know. I hope SummerSlam's good. I hope for whoever paid that $40,000 to sit front row, for their sake, I hope it's for their sake it was bad. Because you're a fucking idiot if you did that. And again, I really hate coming on here and being negative about pro wrestling because that's not why I started this channel. That's why I kind of tend to take breaks from this channel, because when wrestling's good, I'm always here, and when it's not so good, I disappear because I don't want to talk about the negativity. But I really feel like we're in a spot where the WWE is maybe the most creatively bankrupt it's been since Vince, and it's bad and it's awful and I hate it. And I'm not coming here to be like, oh, the new Netflix show, like the Backstage show, that's not like, that's killing the business or whatever. I really don't care about any of that. I don't feel the need to watch WWE right now, and because that is the most easily accessible professional wrestling, I just now don't feel the need to watch any professional wrestling, essentially. And I hate that, because wrestling's such a huge part of my life and I should want to watch it. But yeah, that's it for me today. I just had to get all that off my chest. So thank you guys so much for watching. Do let me know if you are excited for SummerSlam. Don't let this put a damper on. I do want to hear, you know, why we're excited for things down below. Like I say, it doesn't feel essential to me. And if you can't convince me to come back, why should I come back? That's kind of where I'm coming from. But let me know what you think of everything I'm saying down below. Am I being too defeatist? Am I an AEW mark or whatever? Like, let me know all of those opinions down below. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.